Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Week 4 Franklin County Football Preview. My name is Caden Pounders. I'm the sports editor at the Franklin Free Press. And as always, I'm going to take you through a breakdown of each of the six matchups that are happening this week with teams in Franklin County: Belgreen, Phil Campbell, Red Bay, Russellville, Tharptown, and Vina. They're all six in action this week. So we're going to quickly go through each of those. Just want to let you know that we're releasing this on a Thursday. Tharptown is playing Decatur Heritage on Thursday, so we want to go ahead and release that before those guys play. Um, Tharptown is traveling to Decatur Heritage, who doesn't have a field of their own. They play at West Morgan, so that's the reason Tharptown's playing on Thursday this week. But we're going to continue. We'll just go through each of these games in alphabetical order as always, and that means we're going to start with Belgreen. Belgreen's coming off a bye week. One of the two teams in Franklin County that were coming off bye weeks. They're hosting Tanner, a winless Tanner team. Tanner's 0-4, 0-2 in their region. Belgreen's 2-1 this year. They have wins against Schultz Christian. They beat in their last game. They beat Tharptown at Tharptown on Tharptown's homecoming night. So the Bulldogs coming into this game with some momentum, beating what is widely perceived as their rivals here in Franklin County in Tharptown. So, um, you know, Belgreen's going to have momentum. They're going to be confident, especially against a Tanner does have, historically they are, they've had some success in football before, but this year they're really struggling. They've only scored one touchdown all year, and they're giving up an average of 55 points per game. So I expect Belgreen at home to take advantage of that and beat Tanner. Um, what can you say about this Belgreen team that's 2-1 right now, has a great potential to go 3-1. The three teams they've beaten all winless, so their record against teams is they're 0-9 is their, or sorry, 0-10 are the teams they've played that they've won against. So take that for what you will, but in this first year of Belgreen football, I think they're off to a great start, and I think that they can get another win to move to 3-1 against Tanner without too much of a problem if they play like they have in their last three games. Next up, we're going to move to Phil Campbell. Phil Campbell is 1-2, 1-1 in the region. They're traveling to Winfield, or they're hosting Winfield. Sorry, a team that's 3-1, 2-0 in the region. Last week, Phil Campbell, the Bobcats, went on the road in terrible, awful conditions and got beat 28-0 at Oakman. That was a region game, their first region loss of the year. Just the Bobcats were unable to get anything really going offensively, and they struggled. The in games like that where the weather conditions are just so terrible, I kind of just set those results off to the side. This will be a real test for Phil Campbell this week, and if Phil Campbell really wants to achieve what they want to achieve in terms of getting into the playoffs, getting out of the second round. I mean, I think Phil Campbell's going to make the playoffs this year. Okay, I'm not really worried about that. But this is going to be a real litmus test for Phil Campbell to see how good they really are. Like I said, I'm putting that Oakman result off to the side. If Phil Campbell can beat Winfield, I think they're for real. Because Winfield's a good team. And, this game's going to have major playoff implications. So if Phil Campbell at home can beat Winfield, I think this team is legit. If they can't, depending on the result, what the score is, how they play, then we'll have to go back and reevaluate, where this Phil Campbell team is. But they have veteran players, guys that have got a lot of experience. They've got a quarterback who is really coming along, Hasten Scott. He was the Franklin Free Press Player of the Week 2 weeks ago when when they won in 4 overtimes. I'm really interested in this game because I think this is really just going to be a measuring stick for just how good this Phil Campbell team is. Because Winfield is good. Winfield, is 12-5 all time against Phil Campbell. The last season, the Bobcats were shut out 52-0. They haven't beat the Pirates since 1997. So this is a game that Phil Campbell really wants to win, and if they can win this game, I think uh, that'll really give us an idea of just where this Phil Campbell team is. All right, let's move on to Red Bay. Red Bay really struggling this year. 0-3, 0-1 in the region. In their region, traveling to Lexington. Lexington this week, who's 2-2, 1-1 in the region. Yeah, it's just been a rough go for Red Bay. Last week in their region opener, they were routed. I mean, really took a thumping, 51-8 at Winston County. On the road again this week against a Lexington team that owns on-time series advantage 16-10. Um, Red Bay, this is going to be a tough ask. I mean, Red Bay really needs a win, but this is going to be a tough ask. Red Bay has scored 55 points all year. Lexington scored 55 points last week against Tanner. You know, this team is, young. They lost a lot of guys last year, so they're really I guess they're probably really in a rebuilding stage with a young quarterback and inexperienced quarterback and things like that. But, Red Bay really needs a win at some point this year. I don't know if they're going to be able to get it this week. It's going to be tough. It's going to be a tough ask, a tall order for them to go on the road at Lexington and win that region game. You know, Lexington is not bad. They're not a bad football team. So it looks like it could be an 0-4 start for Red Bay. But we'll wait and see. You never know what happens in high school football. Next week, Red Bay is going to go across the border into Mississippi and play Belmont. That'll obviously be a non-region contest. But yeah, tough start for Red Bay. We'll see what happens on Friday. Next up is Russellville. Russellville's 3-1, 2-0 in 5A Region 7. And they're going to be hosting Ardmore, who's also 3-1 and 1-1 in the region. This is going to be a really welcome. This is Russellville's homecoming game. It's going to be a definite homecoming, welcome for them at homecoming because they've been on the road for the last 3 weeks. So I know Coach Dustin Goodwin and his team are going to be really happy to be back at home in the friendly confines of Golden Tiger Stadium. However, this game in their backyard against Ardmore is going to be like pulling weeds, I think, because look, I know that Ardmore over the last decade has gotten thrashed by Russellville. It hasn't been much of a competition between these two teams over the last 10 years. However, if you look at the numbers and you look at how Ardmore has played so far this season, well, number one, their numbers are pretty similar. So Russellville's scoring about 35 points per game. Ardmore scoring about 30 points per game. You look on defense, Russellville's allowing about 17 points per game. Ardmore's allowing about 10 points per game. So if you look at the numbers, if you wash them out a little bit, they're pretty close. Russellville's is undefeated in the region. They haven't played the likes of Fairview like Ardmore has. Ardmore Fair, they lost that game 28-6, but considering Fairview, was ranked number 5 when they went to that game against Ardmore last week. They lost 28-6, and considering that Fairview has been beating all the other teams by 50 plus points, I'd say that's not bad. That's not a bad result for Ardmore. So I think this is going to be, for Russellville fans, I think this game is going to be a little bit tougher than maybe you anticipate. Sorry for the change the graphic there. But, yeah, I think this is going to be a little bit tougher for Russellville than it has been in the past. Russellville doesn't need to change anything. Their offense, their defense is fine. Last week, Russellville beat East Limestone to get their second region win. They beat the Indians 52-6. They got scores in all 3 facets of the game in that game: offense, defense, special teams. They're going to need that again against Ardmore this week. They're not going to change anything. Cameron Fennessy, who's coming to the game as the 6th leading rusher in the country. He reached 1,000 yards rushing mark last week against East Limestone. He's going to get plenty of touches. He's going to get the ball. They're going to lean on him a lot. I'm interested to see whether, now that the freshman quarterback Wick Goodwin has gotten 2 weeks as a full-time starter under his belt, whether Russell is going to open up the offense a little bit more and let him throw the ball a little bit more. He didn't do a bad job against East Limestone. I thought he did a pretty good job against the Indians on the road in pretty awful conditions. So, Coach Goodwin has said that, the thing with him is just, don't give away free mistakes, give them the ball back, things like that. Just manage the game. That's what he's really looking for with his quarterbacks and with Goodwin, with his son, with Goodwin. Just manage the game and let the guys around him, help him out. So yeah, I think this could be a really interesting game. It's not the typical homecoming blowout. I don't think it will be the typical homecoming blowout that you want. So we'll see. Just looking at the series history, Russell's 8-1 all time. Like I said, in the last decade, it's been all Russellville. But the one win, just for you trivia people out there, Ardmore's one win against Russellville was way back in 1937. So the very first meeting, Ardmore got the win in that one. They haven't won since, but that could change this week. Russellville will have to be on its toes, really keep an eye on that one to see how that one turns out. All right. Next, we'll go to Tharptown. Tharptown is on the road at Decatur Heritage. Tharptown's winless this year at 0-3. This is going to be the first region game of the year. So to start region play, this is going to be their toughest test of the year. And quite frankly, given what we've seen from Tharptown this year, I don't think it'll be pretty. You can hope the best for the Wildcats, but Decatur Heritage is, a monster. They're ranked. They're in the top 10. They're 2-1 so far, but they just score a lot of points. They're a really good football team. Like I said, this game is being played on Thursday because Decatur Heritage doesn't have its own football field. They're playing at West Morgan. But they're the clear favorites in this one. Tharptown has just managed just 2 touchdowns through the first 3 games. They scored both those touchdowns in the last game against Belgreen. The Eagles have averaged 34 points per game. So just to have a shot, Tharptown is going to have to play impeccable football. They're going to have to run that wing tee offense as perfect as possible, maintain possession, keep control of the ball, score when they have the opportunities, establish the running attack, and obviously play lights out defense. And they're going to have to get a few breaks. I mean, let's just be honest. This is going to be Tharptown's toughest game of the year by far. So we'll see how it plays out. Tharptown's 0-6 all time against Decatur Christian. Last time these two teams met was back in 2017, and the Eagles won 55-0. Next week, this will be another inter-Franklin County contest. Tharptown travels to Vina, who we're going to hit next. Vina is 3-0, 2-0 in the region. They're traveling to Cherokee, who is 2-2 and 1-1 in the region. This is a huge region contest for Vina. Last week, the Red Devils took care of business. They, had a winless Shoals Christian coming into Franklin Hester Stadium. No problem with them. Beat them 32-8. Kyle Lawler, Christian McCarley both had a hand in all the touchdowns in that contest. Again, kind of like Russellville. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. They're going to do what they're going to do, which is establish the running game, try to maintain possession, run the clock, be more physical on defense than you are. And that's really going to be the key for Vina if they want to beat Cherokee, who, if you talk to, talking to Coach Renfro, has said that's going to be the key to the game. Is Cherokee with their athletes are going to be faster. They're going to want to get on the edge and beat you on the outside with their speed. So Vina is going to have to, Vina's counter to that is just to be more physical, beat them off the ball, and then obviously shorten the game with the running attack. Give Cherokee as few possessions as possible in that contest. Um, I'll be loath to forget to mention that beating Charles Christian last week, Vina went 3-0 for the first time started the season 3-0 for the first time since 1982. That was way before I was born. I keep forgetting to change these graphics. Here's Vina. But like I said, this is going to be a huge contest for Vina. Like I said, getting that 3-0 start for the first time in over 40 years. It's obviously a really exciting time for the Vina football program. But talking to Coach Renfro, these are just steps to take to build the reputation and build the program up to where they want it to be a consistently successful program. These are games that they've got to win. So, again, I'm really intrigued to see how this game plays out, because I think this is actually Vina's probably toughest test of the year so far. And I think kind of like the Phil Campbell contest, playing against Winfield, this is really going to be a measuring stick of where Vina is. Is Vina really a contender in this region? They're 2-0 so far, but I feel like this Cherokee game is going to be one of those that is really going to kind of be a measuring stick of where the Red Devils are in terms of, can they get to those playoff spots, and are they really a team, despite the 3-0 the 3-0 start is awesome, but it's not the end all be all. They played there's 10 games in the regular season, so I think this game is going to be really interesting, and to see how it plays out. Vina's 8-15-1 all times against Cherokee. Last season, the Indians shut out the Red Devils 46-0. So, motivating factor, I guess, there for Vina to get revenge against Cherokee. They haven't beaten Cherokee since 2020. So, I'm really rooting for Vina. I hope 4-0 would be incredible for that program, a program that's really struggled over the last, really the last 30 years. So we'll see if they can get it done next week. They're going to host, like I told you earlier, they're going to be hosting Tharptown in a non-region inner Franklin County contest. Another one that'll be really kind of cool to see how it plays out. But that's it. That's our breakdown of all the games that are happening this week in Franklin County. Appreciate you joining me here, and we'll do the same thing again next week. Happy you guys have a great weekend.